Okay. If you haven't seen part 1 and part 2 of this series, that's all right. Part 3 still brings it right to your front door. It's going to cause some of you to reevaluate your approach to family and relationships. Don't give up hope. Don't do it. Take the word divorce out your vocabulary. Why? Because you can make it. Homeboy, the lady that has the kids from the previous relationship, is not damaged goods. You're about to dismiss her, but in actuality, you need to understand she is your Eve in waiting. Ladies, it's not about the drama from your husband's kids from a previous relationship. It's about how you handle it, because you know that your marriage was meant to stand the test of time. Let's get to it. So now we're getting ready to dive into a very sensitive topic, one that I think doesn't receive enough light shed on it. A lot of people have been abused in life, molestation from sometimes their natural father, sometimes from their step parent. But it's a topic that I think it has to be discussed. And I told you we were going to be bringing to you some a level of transparency that you don't see, I think, often enough. So we're going to be talking about molestation within blended families and how to prevent it. And again, we're coming to, I think, a very wise man through the many thousands of couples that he's had a chance to mentor and coach and pastor, has some really great wisdom. So, the question is, Pastor Brett, through your counseling, you've experienced the repercussions, the atrocities of molestation and abuse through counseling, right? Mm-hmm. To the person who has a gut feeling that the person they want to marry is not someone they feel comfortable being around the children, what is your advice to them? What is your advice?
In all caps, big red letters, run. Because what you're calling a gut feeling is more than likely the prodding of the Holy Spirit. When you have these questions, when a question comes up in your mind that leads to something like that, that's not a normal pathway that your mind goes to. You go there because either A, you've had some experience in that, or B, because of the awareness that's been brought up, you're aware of that, or C, you're seeing a behavior that's shown up. This is a huge issue in society right now. All right. So the first part of that, should I be in a relationship with someone that I have doubts about their abilities to control their lust around a child? So we have to break it down to what we're really talking about here. Yeah. It's 100% absolutely God-given that you see this woman and you desire her emotionally, physically, sexually, every way, for you to desire this man in every way. That's a God-given thing. For you to desire a child is not a God-given thing. It's not. For you to desire a child is not a God-given thing. So if someone is sending any signal at all that makes you think that they're somehow attracted to your children, and you are thinking, well, I'm not sure, and I sure like him, and he makes good money, and they'd be able to provide well for us, and I do love them. Hold it just a minute. These children cannot be put on an altar and bartered or sold because of something that would change your economic or your companionship issues. If you have this huge desire, but yet you have a check in your spirit, that's why God gave you these children, and God gave you that innate thing. It's that deal that the mom's working in the kitchen and all of a sudden she just stops and thinks, ooh, I haven't heard. It's not what's happening in the next room, it's what I'm not hearing happening. And so she runs to find out if the baby's okay. Now, before she had that child, she never ran to another room to look up. But God gave you something, that maternal, that paternal thing inside of you, that you just say something isn't right. So you watch for some of this. Let's say that the children are very small. You're dating this man and your children are very small. How he hugs your children should work for you. And if he allows them to come and they get up in his lap and he hugs them, there's a right way to do that.
Right.
There's a right way.
Pastor Brett, this is good stuff.
She's sitting across his lap and he gives her a hug. A normal man, I'm going to use some harsh words here,
Good stuff.
with natural desires, that's the way he's going to want to do that.
Right. Right.
When he turns this child this way across his lap and sets this child on his lap, right on top of his privates, when he does that, there's a trigger that goes off biologically in a man. And if he has an emotional attachment to something, okay, Mom,
This is good.
wake up.
Yeah.
Wake up.
You
Watch,
listen.
listen.
This is great.
Watch,
That's
watch,
good
watch.
stuff.
Listen to this. The same thing, holding a child, carrying a child. My grandson right now is 7 months old and is a perfect size for me to hold him. I can take his little bottom, like he's sitting here, his face is here. I can put my hand, hold his little bottom. I've got his shoulder wedged in here, and I can carry stuff in out of the car, and I've got him. I'm holding around his leg. I've got him.
Right.
How long should I do that? Just for a little while, because this isn't going to be a proper way for me to hold him in a few more months. In a few more months,
That's right.
this isn't going to be. And someone that has that issue. But let's talk first to the mom or the dad that is thinking, I got this feeling, but she's so fine. Come on now, she's so fine. What are you thinking? But he's got this. No, if you have some compunction within you that says this is not going down the right avenue, this isn't the right way. If your daughters are older, here's some ways. Stand up, Crystal. Let me show you something. So if the daughter is older, this is how at church. This is how I hug Crystal.
Absolutely.
Hey, Crystal, how are you doing?
That's
girl?
right.
I mean, we're just being honest here.
That's right.
I can feel her body against mine just a little, but it's not an overdone deal. It's not right. And if he's standing there, I'll often say, "You mind if I hug your wife?" And I know he's going to say yes. I'm his pastor. He's just, but I want to do it right.
Every time.
Crystal's hand is on my back. What gets wrong whenever? Come on now. Wait a second. Hold it. Why? The Bible said, "Neither give place to the enemy." Why give a space to that? All right. So if I'm using this as adults now. Bring in a 12-year-old, and the man that you're dating wants to hug your daughter. You make sure. We can even do it a little more like he's doing it like this. Love you, girl. Love you. Hey, you do good on your grades now. You hear me? You do good. Do good. You say, well, that's just weird. That's for us. No, we're trying to keep them safe.
Yes.
We're trying to keep them safe.
That's what it's about.
Yes.
And
Ultimately.
if you have any question, now's the time to ask that question.
That's right.
And or if you don't even get the answer, thank you, Crystal. If you don't get the answer that you're looking for, now you just need to pull the trigger. That's why God gave that child to you. That's your call. You make that decision right at the right time. And just because you have lust in your heart for a sexual partner does not give you the opportunity or the right to go ahead and open the door that could in any way endanger your children.
Oh,
Absolutely. Wow.
And the desires you have are normal. You gotta be sure that character of the person you're working with is as strong as every other attribute of their life.
Thanks for joining us for part 3 of our talk with Pastor Brett. Join us for part 4 as Pastor Brett talks about what should lead blended families on their journey and some more pitfalls to avoid.
You took your shirt off with the wrong man. How long are you going to beat yourself up for that? Come on. I mean, how long are you going to do that?
Yeah.
You just say, well, I messed up. I mean, how long are you going to harvest that crop?
Yeah.
Every year you bring a harvester into that field to harvest the crop, and you get charged the rental of the harvester and the time it's in your field, and it's got nothing to harvest.